Here's a long, emotionally rich story inspired by the title. Billionaire left a $0 tip, but the waiter's single dad found a hidden note under the plate, from the video you linked. I begin with a strong hook, and carry the plot through challenges, emotional highs and lows, and a meaningful resolution. He placed the check on the table, the total was hundreds of dollars, then slipped his wallet subtly into his jacket and rose to leave, leaving behind a glaring $0 in the tip line. As the door closed behind him, the small diner felt emptier. In that moment, 34-year-old Mark Sanders, single father and waiter, felt more than a sting of rejection. He felt invisible. Mark had spent the last 6 years working double shifts at the little downtown diner, doing everything he could to give his 8-year-old daughter, Sophia, a stable home. Sometimes stable meant nothing more than enough for rent and the small comforts children forget to ask for: a warm sweater, a decent secondhand toy, a home-cooked meal. But lately, with broken equipment at home, a leaky roof, and rising bills, stable felt more like walking a tightrope, and every unpaid tip was like wind threatening to knock him off. He paused when he cleared the table, labeled Table 8, the seat the well-dressed man had occupied. The dinner had been fine, nothing extraordinary. No special treatment, no extra sides. Just a polite nod, yet no tip. It hurt, but Mark had come to expect it whenever someone looked the part of too busy, middle-of-nowhere rich. The diner had seen plenty of those nights. He sighed, replacing the plate with the glassware. Just as he pulled away, something under the plate caught his eye, a small, folded piece of paper. Curious, he picked it up. His fingers trembled. He opened it. The handwriting was elegant, a few lines scrawled hastily, but the meaning heavy. Greater than, you didn't deserve a tip. You deserve a chance. Look under the napkin on table 12 after midnight. That was it. No name, no signature. Just an address in the city, and the words, A.W. For a moment, Mark froze. Table 12, midnight, a prank, a trap, but something inside him, a deep longing, a year of exhaustion, made him hold on. He gently refolded the note and tucked it into his apron pocket. He finished his shift in a daze, stepping into the cold night with the city lights feeling dimmer than usual. At home, Sophia was asleep. The small apartment, modest and battered, smelled faintly of last night's dinner and the damp of the roof leak. Mark lay on the couch, note still in his pocket. He thought about ignoring it. He thought about how many times his dreams had been deferred, by broken washers, by unpaid tips, by life's weight. But something whispered, maybe this is different. The next hours crawled. At 11:45 p.m., he slipped back into his old beat-up sedan and drove through empty city streets until he found the address, a worn brick building, with a dim lobby light and peeling paint. He swallowed hard, doubts gnawing at him. He checked his reflection in the side mirror, one tired, worn man, longing for hope. He walked up the stairs. At the top floor, a door barely hanging on its hinges. He knocked. Silence. Then, a soft creak. The door opened. Standing in the dim hallway light was a woman, sharp-dressed, composed, but her eyes tired. She didn't look richer than any other passerby, maybe just more guarded. "Mark Sanders?" she asked, her voice even but gentle. He nodded, holding out the note. "You sent this." She didn't take it at first. Instead, she studied him, his dirt-smudged jacket, the exhaustion in his eyes, the way his shoulders seemed too heavy for a man of his age. Then she sighed, stepping aside. Inside was a modest room, more like an office than a home. A single table, a computer, neat stacks of papers. On the wall, photos of children, families, letters. She motioned for him to sit. Her name was Anna Winters. She didn't pretend to be a saint. She wasn't about dramatic gestures or viral generosity. She was something more dangerous. Quietly wealthy, observant, determined, someone who believed power meant responsibility. She'd been watching him, not because of his tip line, but because for months she'd noticed a young man at table 8. Different from the rest, polite, kind to the busboys, attentive to working parents who came in with children. She saw how he smiled at Sophia when they came with leftover pizza. She had paid close attention. And when he left nothing at the end of their dinner, she felt a strange mix of guilt and sadness. Guilt for being part of a world that judged people by their profession, sadness that people like him carried heavy burdens silently. "So I didn't leave a tip for you," she said quietly. "Because I didn't want to embarrass you. I left a chance." The room hung still. Mark's throat tightened. He wanted to ask for a dime, a job, anything. Instead, she said, greater than, here's a check. $50,000. No strings attached. Mark blinked. The walls felt like they tilted. 50,000. Greater than, use it for your daughter. Start over if you have to. Or fix the roof. Or pay off rent. Or save. It's yours. He swallowed again. The check was thick, official looking. Legit. He didn't take it right away. In their silence lay more than gratitude. It was disbelief, fear, shame, hope. He wanted to say thank you, but he didn't know how. Thank you never felt enough. Then Anna offered him a seat behind a desk. In just 20 minutes, she offered him something else, a job. A real one. Part-time consulting for a nonprofit she was launching, one focused on helping single parents get housing, education, job training. It paid well. It had benefits. It could change their life. So, she said gently, I'm not here to give you a handout. I'm here to give you a hand up. If you want it. In that moment, everything changed. In the weeks that followed, Mark's life began to tilt toward light. The old apartment got fixed. The leak was patched. For the first time in months, Sophia discovered the comforting smell of dry wood instead of dampness. She got new boots for school. Mark slept better, his shoulders lighter. In the diner job, he didn't quit immediately, but by day, he worked with Anna's organization. By night, he was still the same kind waiter, but with a quiet pride, knowing he was building something beyond just serving tables. The tips he earned now felt like extras. The check he got was their ticket out of survival mode. One day, months later, the man who had once walked out leaving a 0.00 tip strolled into the diner again. Clean-cut suit, hurried demeanor. Mark recognized him at once. The man glanced around, looked at Mark, then looked away. Before leaving, he placed a modest tip, $20, and a slip of paper on the table. Mark picked it up after the man left. The note read simply. He folded it carefully. No anger, no need, because nothing he'd been through had prepared him for this, not just survival, but recognition. Not just money, but dignity. And as he tucked the note into his apron, Sophia peeked around the door of the kitchen. Her eyes wide, she saw the folded paper. She smiled. Daddy, she said softly. He knelt down. Yes, kiddo, she pressed her small hand against his cheek. You don't have to be sad anymore. He hugged her tight. In the quiet that followed, Mark realized something. Real kindness often comes hidden, not in shiny bills, but quiet promises, second chances, and people who see you when you feel unseen. That hidden note under the plate had changed everything. He wasn't just a waiter anymore. He was a father with dignity. He was a man given hope. And as he held Sophia close, listening to her soft breathing, he finally understood. Sometimes the worst nights lead to the brightest dawns. Because for him, the night a billionaire left a zero tip, was the night a stranger gave him everything. If you like, I can turn this into a full-length script, with timestamps for a 15-minute YouTube narration, complete with emotional peaks, pacing, and description guidance. Want me to begin that for you?